Hey everyone, Brian Yerrick's Wycket Realtors Advantage Plus, your Cedar Bluff Realtor, and welcome back to another episode of Ask Brian. Well, the warning signs look all too familiar. Okay, escalating home prices have both buyers and sellers worried that the market is just too good to be true, and I have been routinely asked the ultimate question: are we in a housing bubble? Well, I say no. And I want to take a look at three key factors that suggest why we're not. Okay, number one, housing supply. Last year, home values appreciated a whopping 10% on average across the country. And while this year's growth isn't expected to match it, the experts are predicting closer to 5%, still buyers and sellers are worried that home prices are too high and that depreciation is likely to follow. However, unlike the housing bubble years of the mid-2000s, the major factor driving up home values is that we are also in a dire inventory shortage. Okay? A balanced real estate market's inventory sits around 6 months, while today's current market is at 1.9 months, and that's a historically low amount of homes for sale. And on top of that, inventory has slowly been declining for years now. We've been under 5 months inventory for the last 3 years. Okay, now in comparison, the inventory level from 2005 and 2007 increased from 5 months to 11 months, a vast oversupply of homes that did not warrant the price appreciation that went with it. So, throwing it back to the old high school economics class, the biggest driver of price appreciation is a simple case of supply and demand. And that's exactly what we're seeing in the market today. Which brings me to factor two, the housing demand. If you remember the housing boom of the mid-2000s, you know how crazy that time was in real estate. We could sum it up in one phrase: irrational exuberance. Thought that sounded great. But in other words, the buying and selling frenzy that in part caused the market collapse was fueled not by tactful financial decisions, but a countrywide case of FOMO, or the fear of missing out. Okay, the mortgage industry fed into the frenzy, making it easy for people to obtain home loans much higher than they could afford. Well, today's real estate demand, however, is a very real thing. Okay, millennials, which are currently the largest generation in the US, are finally ready for home ownership and hitting the market en masse. The health crisis is also challenging homeowners to reevaluate whether their home meets their needs, driving more eager buyers into the market. These two big factors, coupled with historically low mortgage rates, make purchasing a home today a good financial decision. So not only is the demand very real, it's also very smart. And that brings us to factor three, equity. Okay, following the housing and economic crash of 2008, economists, financiers, and real estate industry experts have combed through the data to figure out why the entire system crumbled the way it did. Like, what happened? How can we prevent this from happening again? Well, most agree that one of the biggest pieces of that catastrophic equation came down to this: equity, or in reality, a lack of it. Okay, the mid-2000s saw a massive wave of homeowners cashing out the equity in their homes. In short, they were using their homes like ATM machines to afford some of the finer things in life. This led to a lot of negative equity situations. Okay, that's where the amount someone owed on their home was far more than what their house was worth. Well, many foreclosures and short sales followed, depreciating home values nationwide. But today is a much different equity picture. Cash out refinance volume over the last 3 years is less than a third of what it was compared to the 3 years before the crash. Okay, more than 38% of homeowners have paid off their mortgage free and clear, and another 18.7% have paid off over 50% of their mortgage. Well, this positive equity perspective puts the current housing market in a much stronger place, minimalizing risk of foreclosure and stabilizing home values across the U.S. We are not in a bubble, folks. The best day to buy or sell real estate was yesterday. It's no different. We are in a supply and demand, and that is justifying the appreciation of home prices nationwide. If you'd like to know how this affects you personally or how it has affected you personally, give me a call or text 865-776-2863. Drop a message in the comments or reach out to me through one of my social media sites. I'd be more than happy to answer your question and even sit down over a cup of coffee and discuss what these numbers and what this situation in the current market, what it has to offer you. Until then, I will talk to you soon.